We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Welcome, everybody. This is Susan Levin at Talk Up Your Biz, Speak Your Way to More Profits. And my business is Speaker Services. And my co-host is
Jean-Noel Bassior.
And we are here today to enlighten you about speaking your way to more business. And we have two great guests with us. And we'd like to introduce you to Mark Romero, who's the founder and CEO of MarkRomeroMusic.com. Mark shows you how to use music to tune your personal frequency to well-being and become the composer of your life. And who's our other guest, Jean-Noel?
Speaker Services team member, Jack Barnard, who is a master storyteller and presenter. And if you want to go out and speak about who you are and what you do, you have got to see Jack so he can show you how to do a dynamite presentation.
And if you live in Sweden, you might be able to see him in August and September and October.
You have to go to Sweden, though. That's the only thing.
But we have Skype now, and Jack does a lot of Skyping, and he has clients all over the world. So we're very happy to have both of them on the call today. But let's get to what's going on in the news. And just before we started, Jean-Noel said to me, I have a really interesting peg to talk about. That means something in media. So go ahead and tell us.
And it's a kind of an unfortunate peg, but this is what often happens in the news. And this has to do with the crash of the Asiana airliner a few days ago at San Francisco Airport. And what's being discussed, though, today in the news is actually a news peg that a guest on my show, which will be on later, The Book Beat, is actually a specialist in. Her name is Grace Lee, and she is an etiquette expert. And what's being talked about in the news today is the communication between the pilots and whether or not you might have had a situation where the co-pilot was perhaps afraid to say to the pilot that something was not right in the cockpit, because there's precedent for this. And so it's a touchy situation. If there had been more casualties, then if you were an expert in etiquette or an expert, especially as Grace Lee is in Asian etiquette, then you, of course, would not be contacting talk show producers today, because if it had been a major tragedy, there has to be, of course, some time for us to grieve and recover. But this is being talked about today because, unfortunately, there were 2 casualties, but that was, of course, not as severe as it could have been. And so now people are looking at causes. And so if you had any kind of insight into that kind of cause like Grace Lee did, then you would be in demand in the media to give your take on that.
Right, and they're already interviewing lots of different people, about what they thought happened there and in that situation particularly that you're talking about. And, and they're saying that he just waited a little bit too long, and he had a 7-second stretch there, and he waited till the last second, and then they crashed.
So the question is, what was the communication in the cockpit? And there is precedent there have been other situations, particularly one crash, I think, was in South America, also an Asian airline, where the co-pilot was afraid to say something to the pilot. And
there were 4 pilots there, I heard.
Really?
Yeah, in the cockpit. So it is going to be interesting to see. So, that's the kind of stuff we like to teach people. And we've been talking about Take Your Message to the Media, which is a 4-part teleclass series that we're offering starting July 19th. And talking about how to get your message clear, how do you reach out to the reporters. What else are we going to talk about in there?
Kind of promotional materials that you need, things that you should have on your website, such as a meeting planner page, right? A speaker landing page.
Or media page.
Media page, press room. Yeah.
Press room page, right. And how do you reach out and leave a message that gets you a call back? Because the mistakes that people make, or the mistake that they make, is we say this often, is that they leave a flat message, and nobody tells you what they're really after, what's their focus, and how they can help you as a reporter.
Yeah, you have to leave a message. If you're going to leave a voicemail message, if you want to make kind of get your foot in the door as a speaker, and you call up and you leave a message that answers a problem, that has the solution to a problem, you've researched the organization, you know some kind of problem they're facing, or you know the theme of their upcoming event, and you leave a message that, you know, implies that you might have a solution, are they going to call you back?
No.
Really? I would.
Yes. Yes,
You
of course
fail.
they're going to call you back.
Fail
I
that way.
fail, right. My brain's not functioning very well.
A leading
The herbalist
question.
did something to me today. No, of course they're going to call you back, and that's really important, and we want them to call you back. So if you're interested to attend this teleclass from anywhere, if it's on your phone, you can go to speakerservices.com, look at the left-hand column on the homepage, and you're going to see it there, and it will take you to the page to register. But we promise you that you will know what your message is and how to reach out to the various audiences, and you're going to have homework too. And I always like to say it's not a $10,000 program. It's very reasonable. We want to help you. Even how do you get on the show here? You know, why do we turn away people? Because they don't have certain things that we need. You know,
sometimes we get information from people about their books or what they do that is pretty unfocused, you know, and so they can't write a synopsis of their book, for example. Like, you know, a lot of times we'll get something that is more about the testimonials that all their friends gave them about the book. You know, we still get that a lot. That's not what you really. That's not where you need to put your energy. So we want to try to help you, you know, focus on how to present yourself to the media.
Right. So it's 4 Thursdays in July and August, and we'd love to have you on the call so we can help you, and maybe you'll win a spot on one of our shows, Talk Up Your Biz or The Book Beat. Who knows? We want to help you. So moving on, there's a couple articles that I saw that Marcia Friedman wrote, and she's PR Insider, and she sends out a lot of information. And this will be very helpful because we're going to get some more tips later on from Jack Barnard, our branding media presentation extraordinaire coach at Speaker Services. And she gives us tips for landing speaking engagements, or it's more, you know, the things that you need, and that's what I talk about as well. And she says, no matter what your goal, it all starts with establishing your expertise of a particular topic. And that's one of the biggest issues. You know, when people call, they say, well, what do you speak about? I don't know. And I don't know what direction to go in.
Or I speak about a lot of things.
I
And it's
can
for all
speak
kinds
about
of
anything.
audiences and, you know.
Yeah, I can speak about anything. What are
Right.
people speaking about?
Right. What do they want to hear?
What do they want to hear? What's the most popular subject? And I'm going, no, I really don't think so. And I don't really think, you know, that it has to do with your educational degree. I think it has to do with your experience, and you're relevant to, you know, your work experience, what you've done to bring you to this place. Today I had a call, which was a nice referral call from somebody that that Jack is actually working with, and she needs help. And here's this woman who's says she's been in corporate sales with executives for like 16, 17, 18 years, and she wants to break away and teach women how to do sales, and she's writing a book. She's part of Lisa Nichols' program. And so we have to start at the very beginning. She needs help to get her to focus what her presentation is.
And it sounds like a great idea. I mean, you know, it sounds like she's got a great target audience, right?
A lot of people are talking about the same thing. So the biggest challenge here is to find out what makes her unique and different than anybody else.
Get an angle.
Yeah, to get the angle.
Right.
So, and, you know, if you've written a book, it's always very helpful to get on, you know, a speaking circuit as well. And so Marcia says you could have a 3 to 5 minute video of yourself at when you're speaking, And you also could get testimonials that way, which is not a bad idea. But video is really important. Why do you think it is? You know why? Why? It's a rhetorical question.
Well, I think everything is about video these days. I mean,
Yeah.
I just think that you can't avoid it anymore. It's like if you go to a website and there's a 1 minute, 1 to 1.5 minute quick video, I mean, isn't that the best way to experience somebody?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just you can't argue with that. That's
Yeah.
what's going on.
And today when me and social media, I'm cruising along, and I saw an interesting. Somebody put up that she put out 30 days of video on how to do social media or something. I can't remember what it was, but she has something to do with PR. So, and she's on the East Coast, and I never saw her before, but she was on my speakers community on in Facebook. So I dropped her a note and I said, "Hey, can we talk? I like what you're doing, and I think that would be interesting to see how people can do that."
Mm-hmm.
So she would be a really good person for something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So also, what else do they need? They need a website.
Right.
And that's what we're always talking about.
With a speaker landing page?
With a landing page if they choose to. I don't have a landing page. I never learned how to do it, but I think it's probably a good idea to have one.
Well, I think that's still what we call a meeting planner page, isn't it?
No, a landing page is like where they come to with a lot of text there, I believe. And then it says, if you're interested, you can go further if you give us your email address.
Well, it says here, describe some of your speech topics and how they will benefit audiences. Isn't that sort of how we would say list your presentations?
Right, but that's more of a speaker listing. This is a little bit different.
I see.
Yeah, the landing page. And a lot of the platform speakers use that. And it gets more people, for leverage to get in there. And of course, it's always about continuing to build your social media following. I mean, it's amazing to me how many followers I have, but I started a long time ago, and I follow them back. And when I'm looking for people, by the way, I'm looking for people for our teleclasses for the speakers community. If anybody wants to offer a teleclass, email me, Susan@speakerservices.com. I have a speakers community membership, and I interview 2 experts each month. It's audio, but it gives you an opportunity to be interviewed by me and be heard by many people. And it's evergreen. That means it's always up there. And I've been doing that for 8 years. It gives people, an opportunity to, get their message out there. And I think those are the main things that she talked about there. And then she wrote another post about how to pitch yourself as a local TV guest. And that's important, too, because you can get local speaking gigs the same way that you can get on local TV. So what are some of the tips that she talks about? And
she says, by the way, in the story, we're talking about the traditional media is still important, and then she expands on it here. And, she talks about pegs, again, as we were talking about at the opening of the show, how to peg, your expertise to what's in the news. And if you can do that, then she says, get yourself on a local TV show. But she has a very good example here, actually. Yes. This is great. This is for someone who wrote a novel. So let's say you've written a work of fiction. That's kind of hard to peg to a news event. But she had a great thing here. She had a client who had written a novel in which the main character opens a computer program and suddenly his life is consumed by technology.
Watch out.
And so they did a little bit of research in this PR firm. And they ended up pitching this author as a personal advisor who could offer tips for managing screen time versus FaceTime in the family. So in other words, they found out that this was a real problem, that people were getting consumed by technology. And then they came up with stats to prove this. And so now they have a hook or an angle. And so now they could pitch it to the producer of a talk show as, even though this guy has written a novel about this, he's an expert because of all the research that he did, and they established him as an expert and they got him on the show.
That's pretty amazing. And you know about being overwhelmed about social media because we talk about that all the time. We speak almost every day, and Jean-Noel says, I can't open my email, I can't look at Facebook, I got to stay focused because you get swallowed up.
Right. And
I
this
do
and this was
too.
even specifically a technology,
Right.
thing. Some people just get addicted to, the computer, just, whether it's social media or whatever it is.
Right. But
So,
yeah, social
yeah.
media can get you in trouble. And people are still doing local cable shows, which is not a bad idea, because you get all the engineers, you get all the guys shooting for you, and you can be seen locally, and you can grab some pieces out of there and, get some video.
And then they'll call you back because you've established yourself as an expert. So whenever they, need
Or
somebody,
they can
you're
host
easy.
a show.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I spoke to a guy the other day who's written a book. It's a 45-page book on how to be a speaking expert and get booked, and he talks about video also on there. And he has a cable show, but the cable show reaches out so much further than his local area in Connecticut, and he's all over the world with it, and it's brought him something in the Wall Street Journal and
Wow.
something in the New York Times. Because he's a parenting expert, specializing with the kids.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you can really be your own TV network these days.
Right, exactly. And he was saying, even though I'm an expert in parenting, people were saying, well, how do you get out and speak? How do you get invited to speak? And he said, I just needed to sit down and write it. And I needed to tell people step by step how to do it. So he sent me the PDF to look at, and we'll have him as a guest expert later on. I think he is, or for a teleclass. I get very mixed up because I'm booking so many people as the producer, wearing so many hats,
Yeah. But they're incredible people you're getting.
Yeah.
So,
I think we're coming to a break, aren't we?
we should
Nez?
be. Wake up the engineer.
He's saying yes. He had some coffee. So it's your turn.
Oh, so don't go anywhere because we are going to be joined in studio here by Mark Romero, and he has brought his guitar with him. And Mark has an interesting story to tell. He does a certain kind of music that can tune your personal frequency to well-being and and sort of empower you to become the composer of your life. In other words, there's a relationship between the energy that you feel, and he's going to show you how you can enhance that energy through music, a special kind of music that he creates. So stay tuned for Mark Romero shortly. This is Talk Up Your Biz here at LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk.
I'm taking a stand and making a difference. Ready to change the world that I see. 'Cause I have a dream.
Hi, this is Barnard Heron inviting you to join me every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our all-new show, The Mortgage Show. Join us as we discuss exclusive new products and programs through government and conventional financing. No mortgage-related topics are spared. Come with me through this journey of informative, stimulating conversation, giving you the facts, clarity, and insight you deserve. You never heard a mortgage show like this before. You'll be enlightened, educated at the same time. This is for the community, for the nation, for everyone. As the industry evolves, we evolve. So don't forget to tune into The Mortgage Show, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or just watch us on Ustream TV, reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk.
Hi, this is Elena, inviting you to join me every Wednesday at noon for Elena's Beauty Talk and more, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Today is my day.
Hi, and welcome back to Talk Up Your Biz. I'm Jean-Noel Bassior with
Susan Levin.
my co-host, and here we have Mark Romero joining us with his guitar in studio. And Mark is an internationally renowned high vibration music artist and creator of Vibrational Success. And he's helped thousands of people worldwide use the power of music to restore harmony and balance in their lives and align them with their unlimited ability to create an extraordinary life. And I'm a little bit familiar with your work in the sense of having to figure out, together we figured out a way to get that message across.
Right.
So, but, it's interesting that somebody at NASA, was it somebody at NASA that first sort of saw that there was a special quality about your music, a vibration that was
Yeah, it was-
different?
It's actually a gentleman by the name of Dr. Ronald Jones. He's a former top consultant to NASA, so he actually consulted to the National Aeronautics Space Administration for how to protect astronauts out in space from harmful energetic influences since they don't have an atmosphere protecting themselves. So,
And what did he see in your music? What happened?
what was interesting was they were involved in a study, and in this study was really identifying the 80,000 man-made chemicals, the Wi-Fi, the cell phone signals, and things that we're exposed to in our modern-day world. And in their studies, they were able to actually show how these things that we use every day that are certainly such a huge part of modern-day living are really interrupting our energy, causing stress, compromising our brain functions, our physical strength, our well-being. And so they embarked on a mission to really help people, provide them with resources to help shield them from the negative effects of these things that were causing stress. I mean, stress is such an inhibitor in our lives. I mean, how can we be successful when we're stressed out? And so he got a hold of one of my CDs. They did a series of tests, and they discovered that there were certain energetic qualities within the music that actually null and voided the effects of these energy interrupters in our environment, thereby helping people to reduce stress, enhance their overall performance, improve their physical energy, and also improve their health and their well-being.
Wow. And so then is that what motivated you to go on to create this vibrational success program? Or?
I wouldn't say it was a motivation. I think probably more so it was the beginning of a journey. It was the beginning of a journey for me to get a better understanding of life, how the world works, how we work, that I'm something more than what I see in the mirror, and that there are things to become aware of on how we can really create optimal performance in ourselves, in addition to really, good health, well-being, and really operate on a higher level. So that certainly launched me into the whole dedication of getting a better understanding of this.
Tell us where you came from before you started this journey.
I always tell people I'm a recovered corporaholic. It's been 11 years since my last corporate experience. I'm a former CEO, executive manager in the semiconductor business, high-tech industry. Did that for 19 years, and just had reached a certain point, and I'm like kind of going, okay, I did everything that society said I was supposed to do. Why am I unhappy, discontent, and unfulfilled? And so I left to go discover my life purpose and to find a way to express that into the world. So
were you always playing guitar before?
I've been playing guitar ever since 1980. I went to go see Pink Floyd in concert and, went and forced my father to get me a guitar the next day. So it was something that was a hobby. I'd get up in the morning before work early and play. I'd get home at night and my roommate played bass and we would just jam for hours upon hours. And it was something I did for fun for me. I used to have the best concerts in the safety of my bedroom at home.
That's great. So how did you discover that that music had a resonance to it, or the tones had a resonance to it, and relating to stress? And what made you come to that discovery?
Was really getting connected to these scientists. I did an event at a local wellness center here in Orange County, and the lady that ran the center comes up to me and she goes, "Oh my gosh," she goes, "I hear these tones in your music." And I'm looking at her, I'm like, oh man, this lady, she's going to get weird. I mean, I could just tell. And she goes, nobody can hear the tones but me. And I'm thinking in my head, yeah, I heard some tones too back in the 80s listening to Pink Floyd, you know?
You're right.
And she goes, let me get one of your CDs. I know these scientists. So shortly thereafter, I get invited to a lecture where they're demonstrating on stage the effects of everything that we're exposed to in our environment. And I'm completely blown away. I mean, they have a strong muscle guy up there who's going weak physically with a cell phone next to his body, or chemicals in his right next to where he was. And I'm like kind of going, I'd never heard of anything like this before about energy and the effects of these things in our environment. And then halfway through the program, they go, Mark, come up here, bring your guitar and start playing. And I start playing, and I see people's physical energy shift instantly in front of my eyes.
Wow.
Quite honestly, it kind of freaked me out. And I kind of went home kind of in denial, like it never really had happened. And then shortly thereafter, I got a call from Dr. Jones, and he said, we're so excited. He said, your music, when it plays in the environment, harmonizes people's biofield, their energy. He said, therefore, it's dramatically reduces their stress, improves their memory, their focus, their creativity, their intuition, also improves physical energy and enhances the body to self-heal, its ability to self-heal itself. And I go, well, what does this mean? He goes, well, what it means is we want to buy 1,000 CDs from you and start selling them. I said, well, that I can relate to. I'm not sure about all the energy and quantum physics and all these different things, but that's when I started doing health and wellness, stress reduction music. And from there, it evolved. I started using music in my coaching work to help people move past their blocks and their barriers. As I learned more about energy, I realized that the most potent of all the things that we're exposed to are the limiting thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions that we've all encoded into the operating system software of our minds, and that shape and shift our experience, and that I could use music to actually help people null and void the negative stories in their lives, to help them to create breakthroughs and to move forward powerfully in expressing
Better
their
health,
lives.
too.
How
Absolutely.
do you think this works, though? What do you think is the physical basis of it?
Well, that's the thing. We go beyond the physical. We go into the realm of energy.
So it's
And the physical is an expression of energy.
right. But I mean, it's physical, but it's subtle energy, right?
is.
It's three-dimensional energy, or possibly from another dimension. But let's say three. Well, I think that way. But let's say it is physical energy, but it's happening on a very subtle energetic level. Is it something like that?
Absolutely. And you can test appropriately on a physical level to experience the difference of what happens when you tune yourself. I use the guitar as a metaphor. We all have facets of our lives. That's the strumming, the strings. We take action through those facets. That's the strumming and the plucking. And of course, we produce results. That's the music that we express through our lives. And I always say this, I don't care how masterfully you play the guitar or utilize life principles to create results. If your strings aren't in tune, you're never going to play beautiful music or truly create what you have the ability to create. What I do basically is I help people restore harmony and balance so that I can align them with their unlimited ability and potential to create extraordinary lives.
So it tunes your frequency.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Really, in essence, helps you tune your strings.
And you're going to give us a demonstration?
I can certainly do that. You don't have to twist my arm to play.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm just going to play a little piece. This is a little something that I play for a lot of my live events and clients, and it's really something to help them to get in touch with, the positive visions in their lives. So what I would invite you to do is just imagine what you would like to create in your life experience, in your business, in your speaking career. What is it that you would like to do? How would you like that to shift in the next 6 months? And just imagine it while I'm playing this piece. you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And there's a lot big audience here. That's beautiful. I love your music. We have some of your CDs and we listen to them, and enjoy them. How can people get your CDs?
Well, the best place is always to go to the website, and that's www.mark.Romero, Romero, music.com, markromeromusic.com. There's free demos you can get and opportunity to experience, and certainly a lot of information on the science behind the music and how it can dramatically, positively impact your life.
And Mark is also speaking at events as well, so you can find him at the same website.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you told me when we were earlier that you have a new product line, and I thought that was really interesting. Is it the same doctor that you were talking about earlier from NASA?
No, actually, it's a
Different
doctor that consulted to them.
Okay,
And
tell us about this new product line.
well, it's funny because I was having a conversation with a client who said, "Wow, it'd be really cool if you could take like the energy of the music and program it into jewelry, like a self-confidence piece or a self-love piece or a forgiveness piece." And right after that conversation, literally within a week, I get a call from a top-ranking physicist who's telling me he's got technology that can program jewelry and a jewelry line. So I'm like kind of going, well, interesting that you're calling me. So we've
mistakes.
no mistakes
Law
at
of
all.
attraction at work.
That's right. So we've put it on the website, and it gives the ability for people to restore harmony and balance 24/7 in their lives, whether the music's playing or not. So I'm really excited to be launching this new avenue of expression.
Very pretty necklace
Thank
that
you.
you showed us. Yeah, good luck with that. I
Thank
think
you.
that's great because you can't have the music on all day long.
True.
And it's such a perfect thing. And and the interesting thing that I found that you told us was that he had met you like 7 years ago. Okay, and then he came back to you and discovered that you could do this work for him.
Yeah, it was. It's a small world, and it's amazing what happens when you do get yourself in tune. The synchronicities, the pieces that come together
Small
to help you
universe.
to move your mission forward.
Small universe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's called channeling. That it just all came to you the way that it came to you, and how you learned everything as you went along, and you're helping so many people, including me and my friends.
Thank you. It's great to be able to do that.
So we have a couple more minutes. Just about 2 more minutes here, according to NASA, our engineer. So if someone gets your CD and they put it on, say, during meditation, right? So then it's just can enhance the meditation, right?
Absolutely. We want to enhance, I always say we're like biological supercomputers. We're plugged into the ultimate internet, okay? We want to enhance that connection. What's happened because of the 80,000 man-made chemicals in our air, food, and water, the Wi-Fi, cell phone signals, microwave ovens, smart meters, all the things that we're exposed
Are
to.
these what you call interrupters?
These are interrupters, are actually causing static and noise and interrupting that connection. So if we're able to silence the static and the noise, how much can we deepen our prayer time, our meditation time, our quiet time, our reflection time? It's amazing what can open up for people in that process. So you can dramatically deepen your meditative practice or whatever kind of practice you do to connect and restore. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much this has been wonderful, and thanks for bringing your guitar and letting us experience this.
Tell
It's
us
my
the
pleasure.
website one more time.
Sure, the website is www.markwithak.romeromusic.com, markromeromusic.com.
Yeah, and thank you from me too for coming the distance to grace us with your beautiful spirit and music.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So we're going to break right now, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. You're listening to Talk Up Your Biz, Speak Your Way to More Profits, only on LA Talk Live. And when we come back, we're going to have the incredible Jack Barnard, who's stopping by for a visit as he travels around the world, helping people, branding them, presentation coaching, media coaching, and just helping them get to be the best that they can be. and I can give him the toughest cases in the world, and he'll take them on. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. But he wants to talk today about the secret of speaking, and he's saying that speeches are just plain not resultful. So we're looking forward to talking to Jack, and we'll see you in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Our beauty will show. I'm taking a stand and making a difference. Ready to change the world that I see. 'Cause I have a dream. True love is evergreen. I know it's not too late. Gonna grow some love today. Planting a seed to build a world.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Jean-Noel Bassior, inviting you to join me for my new show, The Book Beat, Monday evenings at 6:30 p.m. I'll be talking to authors about their latest book so you can find a fantastic read. But more than that, I'll be talking to experts about how you can write your own book and get it published. So tune in on Mondays at 6:30 p.m. exclusively on latalklive.com. And remember, you can catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey, this your girl, Paris, straight from the Cousins, and you can join us every Monday at 8 p.m. Here live, bring you some great entertainment for those ears, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Planting a seed in my soul. I'm watching it grow.
Jean-Noel Bassior is not looking this way. And we want to welcome our guest, Jack Barnard. Welcome, Jack.
Thank you.
I know you just flew in from
I
somewhere
did.
and flying out again, but Jack has been working with us for a really long time at Speaker Services. He's our other member of the team that we see every once in a while. He likes to travel, and these days you can do anything from anywhere because of the internet and coach people. But we've been working together, for about 17 or 18 years.
Oh, it feels like 70 or 80.
70 or 80,
Yeah.
and he's rescued me many times, and all the work that he does. He's an incredible coach. And today he wants to talk to us about the secret of speaking, because he feels that most speeches are just plain not resultful. So what do you mean by that, Jack Barnard?
Well, first of all, I want to say I bought these headphones from a leprechaun when I walked in here. I love them.
Her name is Donna.
A few years ago, I did a speech for one of the NSA groups that was called The Top 10 Reasons That Speakers Suck. And the basic premise was that after so many years of coaching speakers and presenters and entertainers of all kinds and so forth, my reality was that most speakers are not all that successful, and they made the same kind of mistakes. They don't hook us in on the problem. They give us way too much information, and we're a storytelling culture. So, if you give me a bunch of facts, give me a story or two so I can own it, and then get us involved. That's where the secret is. But as I started looking at the entire fraternity, sorority, the bottom line is that I think something in the range of 75 to 80% of presentations are not resultful, but not successful. If we go to a movie, at the end of the movie, say, do you like the movie? Yeah, me too. Okay, great, let's eat. But unfortunately, that's the way I think too often that presentations, and I'm talking about speeches, seminars, workshops, I don't really care what it is And yet that's not the mandate. The mandate of presentation is change, transformation, growth, movement, and the like. And so when I look at that premise, yeah, that's really what I'm in essence saying. And to just give you at least a 25-minute answer on this question.
We don't have 25 minutes.
Okay, great, no problem then. Well, I thought these leprechauns' headphones would be able to take over from there. The thing about it is there's three premises that is, as far as speaking is concerned. Three important parts. A, what you say, B is how you say it. And then the C is where it's so hard for speakers, for the average speaker, because that's who you are. So if you say what you say, your words matter. We want mastery. We want you to be able to talk to us in our language. We want you to be able to, again, take us from the problem to the solution. We want you to do it in a way that keeps our attention. And the way that you say it, we want to have a good connection with you and all those things that matter. All that matters. However, having said that, what I think too often is sort of the rock in the soup is that so many speakers, for the most part, they're coming from when the law of attraction came out. Suddenly, everyone's teaching the law of attraction. Everyone has a book about it, and these charismatic presenters that are out there and are so good at being able to synthesize other people's material, and now everyone's doing that. It's not. It has to come from the dirt that you've eaten to get to the sunlight. If that's, and I call the word encoded, if it's encoded, that's the formula for results. So that's really.
So you mean you have to have lived it, sort of, or personal experience? Or?
I think that without shadow of doubt, if you really look at the formula for success, and by that I'm again back at movement, growth, transformation, and the like. If you look at, especially in the motivational, inspirational world, in that world, if you really look at it that way, it has to be that where you're coming from and who you are matters. Consider this: a 40-year-old person has been on the planet 15,000 hours or something like that, 15,000 days, 40 or 15,000 days, 300 and some thousand hours, and I've got an hour with them. Why do I think that that's going to change everything in an hour unless I really make that kind of connection that people can latch on to? Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I think what you're talking about is getting to the deeper place inside of you so that you can communicate that to other people, not just doing rhetoric or doing somebody else's script. It reminds me of the way that our friend Patricia Bish wrote her book, Freedom from Food.
Mm-hmm.
She always said, you can lose as much weight as you want, but you have to get it in the deepest,
Well,
darkest
she's a great
place.
example because she also lived it. I mean, she came
Right.
from being a heavy person, and when she lost her weight by having a completely different intonation,
Right.
and she was eating junk food and still lost weight.
She lost it by thought, actually.
That's
Right.
She
right.
didn't
That's
go on a
100%.
diet, and she did it totally in her mind,
Right.
based on principles of quantum physics, but she really lived it, as
She
you
lived
guys
it.
are saying.
And it's not enough out there in the arena, and especially today, because today everyone's a speaker. Everyone,
Right.
I mean, we all are conglomerates. We speak, we have books, we have blog sites, we have websites, we have everything. I mean, you know, I find it amazing to get on Facebook because I don't get on it enough, and I'll get on it and go, why do I care about that? That you're going to wear your blue shorts to run today? I mean, isn't that phenomenal?
Right.
You know, so it's a tricky thing, and I don't want to come and just be, you know, basically throw water on everything. But I
I
do
think it
feel it's important.
also, excuse me, Jack, I think it also has to do with some people just want to get on the bandwagon and they think it's a good way to make money.
Yeah.
And they're coming from that place. And it reminds me about last week on the Book Beat, we had this 89-year-old woman, Dorothy Dale Kloss, and Jean-Noel asked such a great question. And she said, when we were working 5 days a week, 7 days a week, 5 shows a day, Jean-Noel said, well, wasn't that exhausting? She said, we never thought about that. We just loved the work.
Loved what
We
you
didn't
did,
care
yeah.
about the money. It wasn't even a question. If you wanted to take time off, you could. If you wanted to work 365 days, and she was dancing and singing, it's the same thing. It's like
what it
it's
is.
coming from a heart space, rather than I'm going to teach you something and you got to pay me for it. It's
Well, I mean, there's
I
another.
think you can get paid, but not.
You know,
Right.
one thing I've found, Jack, that comes up a lot with coaching clients, I wonder if you find this, is especially like if they're an author, they want to go out and speak, but they don't know how to put a presentation
Yeah.
together. What would be your best tips for doing it? I mean, I know it's a lot of ground to cover, but isn't there
Well,
like a
first of all,
formula?
the very first thing I want to say to them is you have two different mediums. If you're an author, then I know something about you. You're able to sit and go through it and have your 20 cups of coffee a day and basically put in the 10,000 hours or whatever it took to write your book. Congratulations. And then the premise that, okay, now I'm going to take that same kind of consciousness and put it in my presentation about it or my speaking or whatever. I always say to them, it's a completely different medium.
It's a different technique, isn't
It's
it?
a different, and a different medium. And a medium is really important because I don't have this much time if I'm going to speak to you. I might have 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 45 or 60. So what authors have a tendency to do, and it's a great example in all honesty, because authors have a tendency way too much to be able to say, I really want them to get their money's worth. And so I'm just going to try to give them as much information as I can. And or they'll get a question from the audience and the answer will be, well, I cover that in page 32, chapter 2. I mean, and they have to understand that this medium has its own joy and its own juice, and you have to be able to connect in that way.
So it sounds like you're saying they have to find a balance, right? Because you're not trying to withhold information so that you can sell the book,
Right.
but you don't want to give away too much because you've just written this, 100,000-word book, so you're used to giving away
Right.
a lot. So, but I know that don't you have formulas for
I've
presentation?
got great formulas, yeah. I graduated in science, in mechanical engineering, so I always say things
Okay.
that way. I have questions. I have 4 questions. I call them always questions, and I don't care what your engagement is. These questions are pertinent. The question, and number 1 is who's the audience, and there's about 20 sub-questions. You're at a corporation. They've had a lot of downsizing, and so the spirit's not, whatever. Who's the audience? What do you want for them? What do you want for you? How much time do you have? If you are clear on those, and by the way, with my speakers, I don't like memorization. I teach a technique called familiarization. I basically bring them in when I get started with them in a particular kind of structure, so they have many stories to choose from, etc. And so if you're clear on the answers to those, the material shows itself up. If I know who the audience is, and I know what they're after and what's going on here, and I know what I want for them, because if I have 100 people in the audience, not everyone's going to go to my next step, whether it's get on my website or buy my book or whatever. But I want to make sure that they get a gift out of it. What do I want for me? How much time do I have? And that's the critical one. I've seen speakers that, and this happens often, you'll be booked to do 45 minutes and you show up and the person who's booked you says, I'm sorry, but we're long and we've got to get it done, so you got a half an hour. And I've heard the speaker literally, who'd been doing this for years, and it sort of blew me right off the seat. And he said, so what I did is I just talked 50% faster.
Well, that happened to Mark Romero, our former guest here, when we saw him at Ursula's event.
Oh, he was cut down. And so
He
you
was
have to,
cut
it has to
down.
be modular. There's no way
Yeah.
around it. And you have to, and the other side of this, the speaking is wonderful, but the connection is what makes the difference.
Yes.
It's
So we're
really
back
the
at
connection with the audience, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
And if you're not comfortable being there, if you don't have good rapport with us, if we don't like you in some ways, it really doesn't matter how slick you might be. Now you need both, but that whole idea of what am I here for, and I'm coming from real, is all the difference
Well,
in the
that's
world.
really great to separate. See, I like the way you separate those two questions. Like, what do you want for them? What do you want for you?
That's
But
right.
now, what's the best way to connect with the audience right away so that you kind of get that established?
Well, pardon me a second. First of all, who the audience, I have to say it would depend on what you're talking about, who the audience is, but let's be generic. I mean, the best way to connect to begin with right from the beginning, first of all, be authentic. I mean, coming from who you really are is going to make a lot of difference.
Right.
We don't want, I have a saying that we're not after perfection, we want connection. And it's a way of saying that the idea that you're really slick and charismatic and no one to jab your finger and no one to pause and so forth, it really doesn't mean that much to us. A lot of speakers are just scared to death of losing their place or saying something wrong. And I had a speaker that Susan and I know, and I coached him, and he mispronounced one word, and I said, "You did pretty good. You did a great job." I thought. I said prope. I said, "What are you saying?" I said prope. So what are you talking about? I meant pope. I said, no one knew. And so, you know, the fact is that if you get a Tony Robbins up there, his teeth are bigger than most of us, so it's hard to relate. But the average speaker, when we're making the connection with them, if they make a mistake, we're on their side.
So would you connect, like, say, with a personal story, for example? Would that
Stories
be a
are
way?
very important. I mean, the way I see it is that I don't care what order you go in, but before you're going to go on to solve it, and quite frankly, as we all know, a lot of people's branding is around their solution, so they want to get to that as fast as possible, but hold that off. Tease this a little bit. Make sure we understand what the problem is. Make sure you tell us the story. Make sure you get us involved. That's the 90% place. If I say or do as an audience member, if I say or do something about the subject, my retention level is up at around 90%, according to all statistics. Whereas if the speaker is just doing a monologue, the audience retention levels maybe 10 or 20%, and so forth. So again, it depends. We expect a little bit of mastery, so you can do it in any order that you want. I think meeting planners are after four things. I think they want to make sure you know their audience. They want to make sure that you have a unique, I call it singular view of their problem, challenge, or dilemma, whatever the audience, what it's about the audience. The same thing with their solution. But the fourth thing is that they would love to see singular presentations. They love to see things that are out of the box.
Yeah.
So if you say, how do I get the audience on my side? Again, that authenticity matters. Again, where you're coming from and what you're actually saying to us matters. That if you, in fact, have, again, gotten through the dirt to the sun. But having said that, surprises. Remember when I was coaching Yolanda King, and she had a background, Martin Luther King daughter, and she had a background in acting. And I said, listen, and she got a lot of gigs in January because of her daddy. And so I said, they're going to expect Martin Luther Jr., you know, so let's do something different. So I wrote her a little monologue around the, quote, the problem. They introduced her, everyone's looking at the stage, and this homeless woman comes up the aisle and doing some sort of diatribe. And it was Yolanda, of course. By the time she got to the stage, we knew that, and she took that off, and she took the homeless gig off, and she was basically, you know, in her suit and the like. But she had established what was happening, and because it was unique, because it was different,
Wow.
she had our attention.
I like that. Jack, tell people how they, the kind of work you do or how they can work with you. And I know you brought your book. I think we need.
It's over there if you want if you want to
that's,
look over there.
That's the worst thing that you can do. Donna, do you see the book? Oh, Mark brought it. Thank
Mark,
you.
I brought my assistant too. Thank you
Yes,
so much.
hold
Mark.
up your book so people can see it.
No problem.
And
thank
tell
you.
them how they can
This is
get it.
actually, I don't call it a book. I call it a
manual?
manual because I keep it up to date. It's called We Get Our Cue From You, The Community Approach to Public Speaking and Presentation. The title refers to the fact that, the title refers to the fact that where you're coming from as a speaker, as a presenter, the modality that you're coming in other words, your authenticity and so forth. If you're comfortable up there, we're comfortable. If you're tense and trying to give a perfect speech, then we're just sitting there waiting to
So
fall
how
off.
can they purchase that book?
They can get, well, actually, they go, my website is jackbarnard.com. My last name is Barnyard without the Y, Barnard. So jackbarnard.com. And on the product page, there's a couple ways that you can get it at this point. Also, it's on Amazon. So if you're
And
a
it's a
Kindle
speaker
person,
service
Is this
also.
like a
and
workbook?
speaker services.
Is
It's,
this it is
it's
a
not a
workbook?
workbook,
It's a
although
manual, he
it
calls
leads
it.
you through working.
Oh.
Yeah. And how do you work with people if they would, say that they would like to get branding or they'd like help with their presentations?
If as you said, I'm moving around a lot these days. But having said that, 90% of my clients are long distance.
Right.
So we would have the first meeting on the phone is always
So
gratis.
privately.
Privately, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, all
that's
right.
what I
You
mean.
already knew the answer.
Right,
Private.
because I'm the
These are
producer.
set up questions.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. So you work with people privately and you do a session.
We also do
for the
groups.
first
We
time.
have some groups coming up, as you well know. in
November 8th, 9th, and 10th, a speakers boot camp with 7 people, which
Yep.
is on speaker services. And let's talk a little bit about the video demo that we're bringing back.
Well, interesting. I heard you guys talking about the demo
Yeah.
before, and let's be real. I'm 15 years old. I'm a video director. I've got a YouTube channel. I'm doing stuff every day. I'm taking pictures of me taking pictures, you know. I mean, my point being is the bar has been unbelievably raised. There's 1 billion out there, I think, now, or something like that. So my point being, but having said that.
Raised or lowered?
Yeah, no, exactly. And the fact is that we have that expectation. A couple of suggestions, I would say. I heard you say, for example, if you have a website, you know, being able to see you for a minute and a half or something makes all the difference in the world. I completely agree. The one suggestion that I would make is don't try to pretend you're something that you're not.
Right.
We want real. And I mean, it's right back to, you know, how do we actually get results? Let's just be clear on this. The average person is so inundated with buy me, now, all the time. There's so much inundation in the cyber world that for anything to happen that would actually lead us in a new direction or lead us to the mirror so I can see myself in a better way or something like that, it's not casual. I mean, so the clearer that you could be in who you really are, not trying to be something that you're not, and talk directly to the viewer.
So authenticity
is a big key.
And we used to do 3-camera video demo showcases with a live audience, and we haven't done it in about 5 years, and we're bringing it back with 2-camera.
But we're going to use a dead audience this time.
Yeah, we're going to get a
really
dead
good,
audience,
that we can
right?
Get what they want.
So if you're interested in it, just contact me, Susan at speakerservices.com. It will be in November, and we're just organizing the date, and we're only going to take 5 or 6 people. In LA, and Jack is coaching you. Mm-hmm. You get coaching plus the 2-camera, and you get a couple pieces.
And everyone
out
gets
of
a
it.
lollipop, whether they want one.
Right,
or not,
we're going to give them coffee because it might be in a coffee shop.
Cool.
And, yeah.
You guys are doing a great job. This is fun.
Thank you.
We're having way too much fun.
I can see that.
Yeah,
No
but
problem.
Jack is here, you know, until the end of July, but he can be contacted through his email address, or you could contact me because I usually know where he is, Susan at speakerservices.com. And I think we're coming to the end of our show.
I think so. So we want to thank our guests, Mark Romero and Jack Barnard. And we will see you next week. Barnard.
I don't know.
What did I say?
I've never known how to pronounce
Jack Barnard.
Yeah.
I will go into an office when I was selling, and I go into an office and say, Jack Barnard, to see your boss, say, how do you spell that? B-A-R-N? Oh, yeah, Bernard.
Yeah.
So
And Jack Barnard.
And stay tuned because we're going to have the book beat.
Yeah, the book beat is coming up. And
in a half hour.
Yeah, 1/2 hour. Please stay tuned. And this is LA Talk Live, where we are more than just talk.
And you've been listening to Talk Up Your Biz with Susan Levin and Jean-Noel Bassior. Great show. Thank you, everybody.
If you believe, we will make it together. Planting a seed in my soul, our beauty will show. I'm taking a stand and making a difference. Ready to change the world that I see. 'Cause I have a dream. True love is evergreen. I know it's not too late. Gonna grow some love today. Planting a seed to build a world closer to heaven. Planting a seed in my soul. Yeah, I'm watching it grow.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.